Good morning. Good morning. Truth Disclosure 369 in the house once again. Thought I'd get on here today and just speak on a few things. Um, Hopefully everyone is doing well throughout all the circumstances and the craziness that is going on out here, which, as I do every time I come on, I wish everybody in the universal word of peace, that everyone is real. And you know, those struggles, those things that one may be going through, or several, or few, or families, or groups, or however nations, that the peace of divine, um, from the divine creator would envelop not only yourself, but eventually the whole planet as a whole. So just wanted to get on here. You see that despite the passage of time, uh the there's been foolery, man, just foolery going on. I'm gonna start off. I ain't gonna be on here that long, but I want to start off with a couple articles. Then I want to go into some other stuff that needs to be spoken on, because in the reality in which we are living, um, it resonates with me, and with me personally, is something that it's no longer no myth or no it hasn't been for a minute, but it was a time where a person just looked at this stuff and just thought it was, no, I just talk and expect. But as years go on and you get older, you start seeing stuff, experiencing stuff, and then in your spirit and in your heart start opening up to different ways of thinking. um then it begins to come together. That's for me. I can only speak for me, but I'm gonna get into that a little bit later. But I'm gonna start off by going to this first article here. And this is sad, because this is the thing that it's almost like, what's the purpose of voting now, especially when you seeing nothing but liars and hypocrites and greed mongers, warmongers, and those that uh, may have a little backbone, but the majority of their party is on one level, and so they lose that backbone, so they ignore shit that really should be spoken on. You know, and you go and you vote, and then you have all these accusations of fraud and all this shit. So whoever wins or loses now is going to be an issue. It's like, what the fuck is the purpose of doing this shit now? It's totally it's like defeating the purpose. It's defeating the purpose of the rhetoric of getting out and casting your ballot and all this shit to represent democracy, when democracy is failing to produce the fruits that democracy is supposed to produce. How can you continue to support uh, thorns and thistles and weeds and stuff sprouting up, and not the blossoms of democracy as they claim? I mean, that's not happening. So now you got this crap here, where you got all this stuff with all these uh, races that just happened last week. And I could care less about them, because that's why I barely know. I just know they had last last couple of weeks ago, they had elections for little minor positions, and for the setup for the governor races. I know in Michigan they're setting it up for the governor race, which is in November. But it's almost like, man, What the fuck for? You see representatives of both of these parties lying their fucking ass off to the American people. Not only are they lying to white folks, they're lying to black folks, they're lying to Asian Americans, they're lying to uh, Latino Americans, they're lying to Native Americans, they're lying to every motherfucker, man. Whoever cast a vote for their ass, they lying, man. So it's like, what is the fucking purpose? Then when you have this shit, you got all this stuff, which is this from yesterday, from one of the primary elections. Everybody's blaming, saying, "Oh, it was bullshit. It was fraud. It was this. It was that." So now any election is gonna have this fucking shit hanging over it. It's ridiculous. So election deniers go door to door to confront voters after losses. What? Activists whose candidates were defeated in recent U.S. primary elections have made baseless claims of voter fraud, file lawsuits to bar certification. This is bullshit. And see, this is where I be going into that shit about it's like all this shit gotta come down. It's worthless. And everybody's boy Trump, it was the reason why this shit going into play. I'm telling you, this dude is here for a reason. And he's not here for the reason that everybody jumping around his back and thinking that he's speaking out on shit. Man, this shit is to destroy all this shit and bring it down. And in some instances, some of it needs to go. But the way where they're trying to take folks is somewhere totally dystopian. And you don't want to go there. You want shit to change for the better for everybody, all across the board, man. Not for no particular small group, so they can get advantages and all this shit, and then everybody else left behind. That's basically what the fuck been going on all these years. People don't understand, man. But how the fuck you going to people's houses, going door to door to confront people? Come on, man. I be waiting for it to come to my door. Like, please. They came to my door 2 years ago. I sent them away, Republican canvassers during the 2020 elections, screaming at Trump shit and all that stuff. And the first thing I had to say was what the fuck? How the fuck am I gonna sit up here and vote for a Republican Party? I don't give a fuck. It's Democrat. Man, don't y'all know? And this is in 2020. This is when they had a primary later on in 2020 for different Congress spots, and people that were supposedly jocking Trump on Trump jock or running. So they had people out in the neighborhood like, man, are you serious? Why the fuck would I vote for anybody that stands behind somebody that tells people to drink bleach or make that as a as a suggestion? Get the fuck out of here. Why would I vote for motherfuckers who's sitting up here forcing their will on people through tyrannical legislation and policies and shit? And a lot of that shit coming from motherfuckers that people didn't elect. So why would they going off of shit somewhere in Europe from somebody from some organization that's in Europe? So why would the fuck I want to listen to that shit? So that time I ran them off because and one of the things I did say, because my parents passed away from COVID, they were murdered by this whole Operation COVID, and so one of the things I said was, which hurried up and got them off the doorstep, was when the Republican Party sit up here and take the fact that all these people just got killed and all these folks died and all this lying and shit going on about what really happened, especially with Fauci. Ain't shit to talk about with either party. And it's you motherfuckers don't want to, and this is where one of my notes, we got selective outrage. People have selective outrage. people have outrage on one particular thing, and then don't have it on the next. But both both parties may be suffering from an effect from the same entity above them, which is causing them both harm. But a person within a whole idea, perception, or how they were brought up, or how they was indoctrinated, they would have selective outrage on menial shit, pointing the finger, while the motherfuckers who really caused this shit are looking down from a safe spot, enriching themselves while motherfuckers go at it with this selective outrage. So you can have outrage on January 6th and all this stuff with a lot of the people who are running from supposed subpoenas and all this shit and all this bullshit, but you don't have selective outrage about Fauci lying in front of Congress numerous times, so pampered and kept in the spotlight with a clean slate supposedly for the people to continue to clash on him. I think that's credibility's been gone. A lot of people know that fool ain't shit. He's part of this whole scheme and really got blood on his hand, just like the people were trying to cover this shit up. But I had to put this on because this is crazy. Election deniers going door to door, so you're gonna have people, man, get the hell off my doorstep. And you probably have people sit there and have a good old conversation about these whack politics. But yeah, this is ridiculous. The shit that's going on, to me, is not even worth the energy of trying to sit up and talk to people that supporting liars and hypocrites and those that's acting like they can't see certain shit, because long as it's not, long as this is on the other side and it don't affect them, then they don't want to talk about it. That's selective outrage. But then when it comes to, and the ball is in their court, then they want to run around and act like ain't shit going on. It's like, motherfuckers sick of that shit. So before I go into to the next one, I just wanted to bring that up, and I'm gonna switch over here, and this is where I'm gonna start going into my main topic for a little bit. So I'm gonna go into this. Now, we all know that one of the biggest things that have always been in the media and entertainment and just in urban legends and myths and theories and all this other stuff is, of course, the existence of extraterrestrial life and the existence of other life forms other than human beings. So over the years, you've had this infatuation with UFOs and UFO contact, and you had people who which I have met. I have literally met one in my lifetime that's told me they remember when they were abducted. When we was at that time, we was both young, so at a young age they was abducted, and it was crazy. I didn't really think nothing of it. I respected the fact that this person was able to say that. It was no joking or nothing like that. It's like, it's real, man. That's what's up. I respected that, and I always have been on the tip that it's always been something out here, just been in my heart. Some people just have it in them. They just know that it's something else out here going on that these folks been lying about the whole time. Even when a person was young, coming up, listening to the stuff they was being fed and taught and all this stuff, it still was a deep void. Like, something ain't right. And as time went on, you seeing this stuff. So all these years, I believe I said this before on a previous video, but all these years, these folks have been sitting up here talking about this don't exist, that don't exist, there's no scientific proof, there's nothing here, that's just a waste of time, hoax, all this other stuff, weather balloons, this, that, and the third. All those years went on. Now the last last 5-6 years now, there's been more and more talk on mainstream, even in the mainstream line ass media, about UFOs. So they've also been debating this, on Capitol Hill, the same lying ass corrupt people that people vote for are now talking about this shit. So what is really going on? So let's see what this is. So yesterday, hold on 1 minute. Congress, this is from Vice. Now Vice is a propaganda tool too, but they put this out here. Congress admits UFOs not man-made, says threats increasing exponentially. Now that goes back to the time I said, now when Congress already said that they didn't know what these vehicles were, what these UAPs were that were flying around. Now they already said they didn't know what it was, so they said it was a threat. So that make you wonder, like, okay, well, nobody know who it is, then the thing would be, how do we know that this stuff is not dangerous to people or whatever? Obviously, some things have been happening where it seemed like they were a threat at one time, and sometimes they weren't a threat. So, the thing is, are they really going to start telling people? And I don't believe they are, because these folks are liars. This same Congress is lying about shit. They're not really going to tell it because they know what this shit is wrapped up in. And this is leading to what I'm getting to. So the new budget for America's intelligence service directs the Pentagon. So this is taxpayer money. The new budget, anytime they get to talking about this shit, you already know where that budget is where that money that's financing that budget is coming from. The new budget for America's intelligence services directs the Pentagon to focus its UFO investigation on those subjects that if it can't identify. So your tax dollars is going to be going in another governmental program, basically, supposedly, to monitor and these so-called threats. After years of revelations about strange lights in the sky, firsthand reports from Navy pilots about UFOs, governmental investigations, Congress seems to have admitted something startling in print. It doesn't believe all UFOs are man-made. That's a big admission. So what you gonna do about it, Congress? What's the game plan? Are you just gonna sit there and let people just sit back and wonder, okay, what that means? Some UFOs are not man-made. So that means that some things are man-made. Some of these vehicles are man-made and some are not. So what's the deal? And this is the whole deal. How long are they gonna keep dragging people out into this shit? So the reason why I wanted to bring this up, man, because people gotta look at some things. I'm not even gonna go into the whole gist of the article, because this is something that has been a talking point in certain communities. A lot of people, call it the conspiracy, but this is the deal, man. People want to speak on conspiracy and everything, that's conspiracy and everything, but look at what's going on. You have government people. You have people who are supposed to be representing the people that put them in offices, doing all type of unspeakable corrupt stuff, trying to fight to keep their careers untouched and unscathed, while pushing negative narratives and negative policies that are impacting everybody in this country. And this country is not alone. All over the planet, there's stuff going on in every fucking country between the citizens of that country and the majority of their governments. And then you have fractions of people who are gung-ho with the plans of their government, and you got fractions of the people who are like, hell no, hold up a second, pump the brakes, y'all doing too much. Y'all doing too much. Ain't nobody sign up for all this shit, man. I thought we supposed to be free. Free to have everything. And with freedom comes the freedom to have all information. My thing is, and this is what I always tell people, these folks have been lying about a lot of shit dealing with history. They've been lying about a lot of shit dealing with the whole aspect of the reality that we live in. We barely most of the stuff that we repeat, and that's a lot of the shit, me included. Most of the stuff we repeat is stuff that we actually got from somewhere else, from a book, from stuff that we learned from years ago, or whatever. And then you gotta go in there and yourself, who wrote that shit? Who is the source behind it? Who is the institution that promoted that shit? And all that stuff. And a lot of these places didn't want truth to be put out here about the realness of this reality we living in and about human beings. You know, these folks, I look at it hold on, man, let me cut this down. I got my little jams on early. A lot of this stuff, it seems like it's hard to believe or whatever. But if you can sit up here and you can see these folks doing this shit blatantly out in front of people's face like they doing over the last several years. It didn't just start 2 years ago. This stuff was leading up to this shit. Everything that been happening been leading up to this. And you have to ask yourself, back in the day when you was walking around and dudes was sitting around or a woman was sitting around talking about, you know what? They working on a new world order. I'm telling y'all, yeah, they trying to merge everything into one group and trying to get rid of that fucked up money system that was corrupt from the beginning and merge it into something so you won't have to do this and do that and you be stuck. That's the shit the motherfucker was saying back in the day. They're gonna have one military and all that. And now, when you fast forward that shit to right now, to 2022, and you see all the shit that's happening, all four corners of the globe, where you got shit, these different countries and the people rising up and they're bucking about tyranny and all this other shit because their government have sold out to look like people interests outside of the government that are getting paid. And you know how they're getting paid? They're getting paid through taxation from not only this country, but other countries. But the deal is, this system that we've been up under, man, it's amazing how folks don't understand, like, damn, man, maybe it's time for this shit to go. I mean, this whole system that we up under is nothing but, has been producing nothing but bloodshed, death, sickness, poor health, disputes, and all this shit. Anything that's dealing with the most negative of a person's energetic abilities, it's always affecting that. And it's the truth. I know it's the truth because look how much a motherfucker had to experience when dealing with school, when working, and all this shit. Look at all the shit that you happen to go through. Then the personal issues, family issues, then when you deal with losses and this and that and third, all the emotion and stress and the grief that may come with that. And a lot of this stuff, man, we don't understand that it may be some shit out here that's feeding off of that stuff. That's why this world is kept in a state in which, that's how I look at it, in a state in which no peace can come in, constant something going on that's negative and disrupting the peace. Before one issue over with, you get hit with another issue. And this is what's been going on in the country. Before one person can get over one incident, there's another incident pop up. The media grab hold to it, but puts it out here. People start looking at it, and then they all in their emotions and everything, and not understanding, man, these folks got people playing folks like fucking puppets. While the puppet masters are sitting up here doing shit and revealing shit slowly but surely about shit that they've been lying about all over the years, man. So now you got these UFOs, these UAPs, now they got all these groups now they want to put it together and these to continue to investigate this shit, which would be using taxpayer money. So when and the main if you got taxpayer money involved, you should, you had a right to know what the fuck they're finding out. But a lot of people don't even probably don't even give a damn. I want to know what's up. So not only when you deal with the presence of life, because me myself, I believe, and I always have believed, there's always been life here outside of human beings. I mean, it just takes a damn. For me, it just takes you got to be serious, man. There's no way in this vast space um where you're talking about the above us or under us. There's no way there that you could say that, whether it's in the seas or whatever, this vast space around us. There's no way you can say that there's no life out here but dumb human beings who are around here tearing up shit, ready to destroy their goddamn selves. There's no way. And then, of course, this goes into religious beliefs and everything, which have also been distorted and tainted, you know. So what's really going on? And one of the things I wanted to touch on is this thing right here. And it's called spiritual ascension. And a few years back, I didn't know no idea what it was. And it took me a minute to, once I did start finding out about it, as I started opening up more and started understanding that maybe the reason why shit is because maybe stuff that we've been taught the whole time was false or misleading. And the real things are right up under our noses, which can help transform the world into a world in which is more pleasing, more peaceful, and more obliging for all human beings. Because once again, you got to understand, everybody on this planet is affected some way or another by the shit that's happening, and somebody is benefiting off of that. You can believe that. So when I look at some of the things I went over in the years, from research and just looking at documentaries and reading and stuff, and they really got the whole thing about human beings messed up. And this is what one of the things they don't want people to find out. They don't, and this I'm gonna just say it. They don't want people to find out. They don't want human beings to wake up to what they truly are, the significance of the soul, the spirit, that which is within themselves, that connects to the divine essence of all. And this other life out here, these other aspects of creation are also part of this created space. And they also carry a essence. They also carry a spiritual essence. And and my thing is, just like human beings, you probably got some who are on the bullshit, and then some who actually are about love, upliftment, peace, unity. Because when you look at it, when you think of the all people, all things go back to the source. Every created thing go back to one source. So that makes everybody what? We are all one. We are all one. We our bodies are made up of the straight up essence of the planet. The flesh from the soil and vegetation, you know. Then you got the blood from the water, the elements of the planet, man. And not only the in breath, that breath that we breathe in, exhale out, man. That right there in itself, the gaseous elementals, which allow us to walk around here. And each time we breathe in, we breathe it in that essence, man. But they don't want us to understand what that truly means. A lot of it has been distorted in a lot of the religious context. But a lot of the ancestors used to talk about periods in history, and I don't, this is stuff you can go into dealing with the 24,000 year cycles, 26,000 year cycles, however it go. The Mayans had predictions that left them at 2012. And the sad when when you think about stuff like that, these people back in the day had, even though they may have been caught up in shit that may have been kind of barbaric, a lot of these civilizations were highly advanced and highly still connected with um, um, the reality in which was this planet and everything around it. Even the reality of other stuff out here, other beings, other entities. And this is what I believe is what they talk about in all these ancient scriptures of these guys that's landing and bringing this, trying to teach that and trying to teach that. And then these same figures were taken in these religions and worshiped when they shouldn't have been. Because these same figures are a part of this creation, no different than we are. But since, ego and godlike statuses where you want to be above somebody else. And I remember I listened to check out Billy Carson. He talks about the cargo cups. And that's basically what the fuck happened. A less civilized group of people saw an advanced race and snatched them up as gods. And some of these folks went ahead and went with it, and they entrapped human beings. And this whole time they've been lying about shit. They've been keeping shit hidden, and now little stuff is coming out that doesn't make sense. Even when you go into the religious aspect of things, a lot of things they're finding stuff that's past timelines or before timelines should have been existed. And then when you come to timelines, all of that stuff was you had the Julian calendar, the Gregorian calendar, all this stuff made up by people who wanted to keep people away from shit. We don't know exactly what fucking year we living in, to be honest. And people can sit up here and they can accept what the folks say, but the reality of it, you still putting a risk on it, because with all the lying and all the hypocrisy and all the shit going on, how do you know they're not lying about any of that stuff in the past, including the existence of other life? And when it comes to a period known as the Ascension, and now that I'm on this, the Ascension is supposedly, I believe it, but I'm gonna put it out here for those who may not be aware or probably don't have no idea. Ascension is supposed to be a time in which the frequencies, resonation of spiritual beings begins to evolve. And from my understanding, there were periods in time in which people fell from their original states of grace in which they were activated. They knew certain things. And this is like one of the things that bring attention to the Bible when it talks about the fall of Adam and Eve. They fell from grace. What was that grace? And I'm just putting this out. I'm not saying take what I'm saying. What I'm saying is more stuff out here. Look into some things. Start getting spiritually inclined to use your intuition and guide you, and you run into shit. This is what I've been doing. So spiritual ascension is when you move forward and you raise your vibrations spiritually and consciously, because consciousness is the link between all human beings. If you don't have a conscience, you're not a human being. You may be some drone or some droid out here. Oh, that's just real. Anything without conscious is not human being. So when you talk about an android or AI and all that stuff, doesn't have consciousness. Consciousness goes straight back to the creator. Everybody has it in them. And sometimes people don't understand them energies they be having within self. When the stuff happens that they cannot explain, it's really something dealing with that spiritual essence in you. And a lot of people, we've been taught to deny it and look over it. And a lot of us been soaking up the negative shits in the world, the negative stuff that's been going on, and feeding the negative part of our beings, which has allowed that force to manifest nothing but the bullshit we living in. People understand everything that's happening is stuff that we creating and being tricked into creating from motherfuckers who want to keep people locked down in this low vibing state instead of moving forward. You know, when you look at some of the ancients and stuff, man, even when you read the stories of Atlantis and Lemuria, which I had to find out about that, and Pangea, all these different civilizations that were around, and they found records and stuff, and they try to keep that shit hidden, but they find this stuff and they find writings of it in ancient civilizations that's mentioned in Atlantis or Lemuria or Pangea and all this. And it's always talking about folks was on some type of higher scale of living. But then when we get to a certain point in history, everybody is now warring and fighting and doing all this shit, and it's just total chaos across the planet. So consciousness was thwarted from moving forward, and consciousness is that God self in each and every person. That little voice that just says, "Hey, you know these folks bullshit. Don't do it." And people don't do it because we so stuck up on what we've been taught, what we've been conformed to, and in the bigger aspect, when we see what's happening now, I mean, everything that's being forced upon people now is in direct conflict with a lot of with consciousness. So this is why a lot of times right now, a lot of people are starting to question shit and waking up to certain shit and seeing like damn, asking questions that were at once they were felt difficult to ask or you know embarrassed to ask, you know, felt shame or probably fear because of what somebody might think. So now a lot of people are coming forward with shit like this, and you have to look at this thing. Spiritual ascension means a magical awakening of your soul into a higher level of consciousness. It merges you to a pure and divine source of pure energy. Some signs of spiritual ascension means drawing you towards nature, and that's something that you know I see a lot of people involved in. I'm also getting back into it. Emotionally detached from family and friends. That's a, you know that's one thing I've been going through. Intense frustration, sadness, and rage, and this is from my aspect. That is totally me because of the frustration of seeing people that you love, seeing people who you care for, and just seeing people general human beings who are going through a lot of frustration, a lot of stress, a lot of shit, suffering and tragedy, and you know damn well the reason why it's all happening is for some negative and suspect agendas that's out here that links to keeping humans down. Sudden loss of identity, meaning that when you start moving forward and you don't look at yourself as being, oh, I'm this person, that person. I'm a human being. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of the Creator. I'm a son of light, daughter of light. However you want to look at the Creator being, the source of all. Difficulty and concentration, which is, I know damn well that mind be everywhere. But it's important to keep your mind focused on those things that'll help you evolve. The negative states is where the enemy wants to continue to suck you dry from. Self-talk and inner dialogue, meaning prayer and meditation and looking at all those things within. Because I'm telling you, when you start to do this shit, you start getting communicating with your inner self, God within, and you start getting an aspect of how you should begin to do things. Nobody's perfect. We're all a work in progress. But it's the thing when you come aware of it and you start moving forward, hey, this is what's supposed to happen. When you start treating people differently, when you start treating people better than the old world will want you to, regardless of what's happening, man. And this is all part of it. Body discomfort, pain, aches, always feel that. And this is one of the things that I truly believe they don't want certain stuff going down far as with an ascension. So that's why they have a lot of these campaigns going to spread fear and health emergencies and all this stuff so they can get so much stuff pumped up in people all over the planet with this stuff, because whatever they're putting into people, and this is just my opinion, whatever they're putting into people, to me, I believe is something that's trying to hinder people from personally waking up on their own to observe and experience the ascension. Now, what they're doing, I still believe that it's not going to stop it, but what they're doing is trying to corrupt people from waking up. And this is something that I heard a few months back. This group called the Guardians of the Looking Glass, which was a group that were out speaking on certain things, and they gave a timeline and plan about certain things that this wicked government, that includes all the WF, the WHO, and all these groups and all that stuff, all these foreign groups that seem to have some type of complicit control in the U.S., even though folks here didn't vote for them. But uh, there was and I'm brain fog real quick, but I done totally got off track because this stuff here, once you get to talking about it, and when I get to talking about it, I start getting into it and I start feeling it within. And when I hear other people that's speaking on stuff like that, you know, I resonate. Just gets there. But a lot of these medical treatments and stuff, I don't care what they say, you know, to each their own, whatever. But I just really believe that the stuff they're putting out here is to keep human beings from moving forward as far as the ascension. And the shit that they're doing has nothing to, it's ungodly. So what they're talking about, you know, anybody that wants to, out of ignorance or whatever, that wants to try and legitimize what they're doing and say, oh, this is the thing, you got to do it. You got to say, no, this is, everything about it is ungodly. I never understood why people would sit up and quote Revelations, including the part about the mark of the beast and all that stuff, then turn right around and see the authorities, so-called authorities, all these motherfucking lying folks across the planet that's trying to disrupt their societies from the so-called normality that people had, and bring in this new system now while everything is falling. There's no way. And you taking shit that these folks are trying to say, oh, this is good, you need to take this. No, there's no way I can do it. I mean, I pray for those, you know, who are in the valley of decision with that choice, and for those who have already made that choice, because you know all things gonna work out for the good. But the truth has to come out about this shit. So these folks trying to keep people from knowing that they have spirit, that their spirit is much more than, you know, all this, you know, stuff they've been teaching, you know, and you go into the religious context. This stuff been going on for years. And when you meditate or whatever, and a lot of people get caught up in, well, how do you meditate and all this stuff? I mean, a lot of people can't do that. I understand that and all that, but a lot of meditation only deals with, meditation is what you make of it. This is the thing. People have free will. This is a planet in which people, and it was spoken like that in the Bible, in the other people who came through on this, in this realm, were given the choice of free will to be allowed to make a choice of what you want to do. So just doing everything the same the next person does just because they want to do it, and they trying to, that you don't have to do that shit. God created each and every person to have their own independent thought. You have a free will to do whatever. Are we all connected? The more connected you are to God, though, the more you are connected to more godly people. The less you are connected to God, the more you are the more you are the connected to less godly people and less godly situations. That's just the reality of it. But you know, sometimes meditation could be just sitting in a chair, laying there, just sitting down, just relaxing. That's basically what it is. Relaxing, calming the mind, opening yourself up to you know to self-analyzation. And sometimes some people have different experiences. Many can channel, many can get open up to different things, many in a sleep state, do things in their dreams or have out of body experiences. This is shit that's for real. They don't want to talk about this stuff because they know it's part of the reality of what human beings are. And it's this essence of us that is connected to all this other weird stuff that they've been trying to hide, all the misuse in history, all the miscontext. And this is not a black, white, Mexican, Asian thing, a country thing, a nation thing, a religious thing. This is stuff that's dealing with human beings, period. And so a lot of the when you go into the meditation, there's certain things called chakras, and I think they go as 12 of them all together, but the main basic ones is 7, and these are the light, the essence of your light body or your spiritual construct, which is basically a frame. When this flesh and blood body is gone, you have a spiritual body. You know, the same stuff they talk about in church and all this other stuff, but it's been distorted. So you have a spiritual body, and you have to nourish it, and it's hard because all the stuff that we in the matrix. The matrix was built to go against that and feed the other side with the misuse of that that God body. That's all this shit is. The misuse of God energy. And it's going to take people to understand that, to get back and align with those energies, and in turn that alignment will cause everything to align. The planet is going through changes. They don't want people to understand the reality of Earth. The planet is going through changes. Everybody has a frequency, resonate. And the lower your resonation and frequencies, when it's stuck on some of the most craziest of stuff, that's a low vibing frequency. Everywhere you go, and it's nothing but chaos and confusion and people trying to get over on people and folks lying and this and that and all that shit. We all guilty of it. We all a part of it. That's because we've been engaging in low frequency activity. Anytime you see people dealing with one another in peace, harmony, respect for one another, don't matter about who they are or where they come from or what they believe in, and treat one another the way they want to be treated without trying to force upon somebody else or another person's way of thinking, but can safely dialogue, could help continue to maintain your communities and all that stuff, but all the back and forth, the bickering, anytime you're doing that, that means you're in a state of a higher state of resonation. You're exhibiting higher frequencies. They don't want people to know that shit, man. And then in turn, those frequencies help to build these chakras. And this is stuff that, man, I hope everybody will look into, but this is stuff that really happened. It really is, from my experience, it's really a deal. And this is a deal that this enemy does not want people to know. So you're dealing with the crown chakra, starting at the top, going down to the third eye, which is right here in the pineal gland, which everybody talks about the pineal gland, but a lot of people really don't understand this pineal gland is an antenna. This antenna needs to awaken so that a person can reach past the boxed in 5 sense prison that a lot of us been trapped in. We've been put in a box in which all of our capabilities have been dropped down to 5 senses in a third density world. And there's more to it than that, but this is just the basics of it. As stuff evolves and goes forward, it starts moving up. Everything starts moving up. So if you're not moving up, then that means it's an issue. So when you're moving up, you start moving from third density to fourth density to fifth density. When you're going into these different areas or dimensions or densities, these are areas that are opening up different aspects of your senses. They don't want people to understand that shit. They don't want people to, and a lot of people who know about it, they still can't understand it. I'm still struggling with it, but the reality of it, it is in the heart. It's there. I know it is. And the more the more we clean ourselves up, the more we do our best to be who we are and not what somebody else wants. Then these things start happening where you start understanding, you start seeing this shit working out. You start seeing stuff opening up. You start seeing, knowledge start coming to you, whether it's through people, whether it's through something that just came to you or whatever. And you start looking into shit, and then it builds on that. So you got your third eye. Then you got your throat chakra, you know. Then you got your heart chakra. Then you got your solar plexus. And even in the solar plexus area, man, this is where I had a dream, and this was a dream I said on a past video where a reptilian gave me a open hand push and to the solar plexus, and I seen that God body, the spiritual essence of myself, rise up out of my body and come back in. Now this was in a dream state. You know, this happened years ago, and I remember like it was an actual event that happened last week. So the solar plexus was touched, and I came out, went back in. Then you got the sacral and the roots, and all this stuff is stuff that people should become more aware of. You know, as time presents itself in the way we know it. Everything these folks have taught, everything we have learned, majority of the shit, these folks have tampered with it. They have lied about shit. It hasn't been about no race, none of that shit. Everybody is victimized when it comes to this. So when you're talking about that light body, when you're talking about, you have to ask yourself, when people have these experiences where they out of their body and they doing shit, you got to know there's something else to that. And then you still want to talk about heaven and all this stuff, but yet you still experiencing stuff. There's more to it than that. People got to understand this. So, you know, this is a little something to give an example. Now, one of these things about astral travel, I have not experienced that, but I have experienced what they call them in the dream state. I always get that missed the name where you are consciously awake in your dreams. You're able to make conscious decisions. And matter of fact, hold on a minute. I gotta get the name. I always get the name messed up. Lucid dreaming. Now I have been able to do that on several occasions. Lucid dreaming, something that shocked me. To be able to be in your dream, first of all, you remember in the dream. Second of all, you in your dream, in the dream state, surrounded by people you don't know, well, around people you don't know who they are. They never seen them before. You're around, environments that you know nothing of, like where the hell am I at? And sometimes you are in environments you're familiar with, this and that and third. But when you're in that state and you're able to sit back and say, look, I'm about to go ahead, I'm about to walk over here and cut that sink on, and you in your dream actually go over there and do that. So that's saying there's something else going on with people. And you know, and this is part of that light body, that multi in the quantum world. And people should look this up. Quantum engineering, quantum computing, quantum banking, quantum this, quantum that, quantum engineering. This is something that that they don't want people to really get the gist of what's going on. In a quantum world, man, you know, that which is the smallest of the small, which is the molecular structure of human beings would all have light codes in it, have light in these cells. Atoms have lights in it. This you know it has light in it. Hell, but what do motherfuckers do with it? The first thing they do, they want to make nuclear weapons out of it. But all of that stuff is even in the human body. Atoms, the molecules, all that stuff has light in it because that's what came into the world. Let there be light. Man, it's crazy. And then you turn around and when you start feeding it, or when you become aware of it, you start feeding it. I mean, start here to awaken your out by this gives you like a different about what could happen. Awareness of higher beings, mental fluidity, focused awareness, positive, unlimited thoughts, emotional flow, physical ease. This looked like the beginning of a world of peace. I mean, if people acted like that, that look like that world there would totally be opposite of what the fuck we got going on. So why wouldn't people want to live like that? Or why wouldn't shit like this even be taught or put out here so people could take this on as mainstream and let that other shit, put that shit on the back burner because we see that shit ain't working anyway. Why? All these questions. So in the light body, you have all these different things that can happen, and then when you become conscious enough to a point where I guess you become spiritually enlightened enough where you actually are able to control a lot of things, then you know you're moving toward the path of enlightenment. These are the same paths that a lot of the people that people look upon as religious figures and icons. They came into the world bringing this type of stuff to awaken that. And so we're going to look at the light code activation. Light codes are written in your DNA. And this is, we go back into the cellular form. And this is facts. When you go into any health thing and you get to talk about, you go and look all this shit up. When you go in here and you look on in the DNA and all, they lie about certain shit, but you know, they tell you about certain such stuff. They tell you about junk DNA and all this other stuff. Like, what the fuck would you have junk DNA? The creator doesn't make nothing that's junk. Everything the creator made or created was with love. So why would there be some junk involved in something that was created out of love? That's totally unconscionable. I mean, I you know, it just don't make any sense. This is the things that help to kind of ground how I feel. And I guess many others, man, because you just know this shit that they've been talking about all these years. It's not it. They ain't doing nothing but setting people. They've been setting people up for a failure, man. And people have been going along and giving them the power too, through their institutions, their lying ass leaders and politicians and all these folks people look up to. Don't matter what community, you still victimized. So all of the racial stuff that's going on, they want that shit to keep going on. They want motherfuckers to continue to be doing that shit. It ain't like you know, people be saying, when we gonna they don't want that shit. That's why they constantly put that shit on there so motherfuckers can catch feelings when they see racial shit happening or it's based on some racial incident, and then you going at it. They don't want motherfuckers at it. Because if you're dealing with people like this on this planet, then once you start to awaken and you start understanding that there's other creation out here, God didn't start with us. And if you can't even act right amongst other human beings that may look different from you because of a skin color, then how can you deal with other creation out here that may look different from you and different aspects? Maybe similar as far as a human form or human makeup, but maybe different just in different ways. And we know one way is their differences in the evolution game. That a lot of more of this have evolved more because they haven't been stuck. So what we got here, light codes. Light codes are written in your DNA and are remembrance of your power. Light codes hold and transmit vibrational frequencies, which can cause change within your physical reality. by tapping into the quantum realm. This is shit that is actually, and I'm just pulling up shit from different. This is stuff you go into and look and understand that it's information out here. It's been a lot of this information been out here years. You know, a lot of people knew about it. A lot of people been speaking on it. A lot of people just looked at it and laughed, or it's okay, or didn't really take it seriously. But a lot of people are seeing now that maybe there's something to this. So you dealing with light code energies in your DNA, which they claim has junk parts to it. They don't understand why certain parts of your DNA look like it's been messed with or whatever. And this is in scientific papers and everything. You have people, everybody who try to come out and try and say, hey, something ain't right about the original story. They always try and make them feel like they're I'm gonna get off of here, try and make it seem like they quack, so they're going crazy. But this is the world we live in. I just wanted to share some of that because, like I said, when a person starts to understand the spirit, I've always felt spiritual energy. Even back in the day when I was younger, when a motherfucker was in when didn't understand really, and even now, because person still learning, person still trying to navigate, especially with everything that's going on. But the thing is, coming aware of stuff that either was forgotten about or stuff that was never touched when person was in school or learning or going on this. This is the stuff that people should be, and that's my opinion. Like, people should be learning this stuff that a lot of times when you was in school or in college or whatever, people was, you was too focused. I know how I was too focused on doing what they needed to do to get whatever they need to do to make money so they can live out here and have a house and have a job and family and all that stuff. But so you never did just pay attention to some of the other stuff. But in reality, that's some of the stuff we need to pay attention to. These folks have learned about the reality of human beings. They're learning about the reality of God. They're learning about the reality of other life out here. All that baked around the bullshit that this country is dealing with, the bullshit that in Europe, the bullshit that over there in Ukraine, all this shit. The world is an open stage. And the sad thing about that, I wrote a song back in, I was writing little lyrics back when I was like 19, back in 96. And this was actually when I was a jailbird. I wrote a song called "The World Is an Open Stage," and man, every time I think about that shit, matter of fact, I don't even know. I think I still got the lyrics somewhere. It was an old song. I'm 46 now. That was back in 90, 96. I was like 20 years old. So, every time I think about it, like, damn, you're right. All these actors, all these folks begging for human beings to for their attention so they could get something from you. Not saying that people got to learn how to have discernment, man. And that's one of the spiritual things that, once you start feeling it. You can start literally feel motherfuckers. I mean, you can feel some people and just know they ain't worth shit. You can feel certain groups, they ain't worth nothing. They just lying. And then some people you just could connect with. You feel them. They feel you. You resonate with them. They resonate. You ain't got to agree with them all the way. They ain't got to agree with you all the way. But the point is, y'all resonate. Y'all can work together. Y'all can move forward. Some people just don't want that shit. They just want me, 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 me. And that's not how it works. Service is self, service to others. That's one of the differences that mold the human spirit. In what molds that same spirit in other life. Collective consciousness of beings who either working toward the goal of divine oneness, and that means service to others. Always creating, always are going according to divine law. and the laws of the universe. Anytime you step away from that, that's when all the discrepancies start to come up. And that, like I said, when people the further you are away from nourishing that God within, the more you manifest the misuse of that God power. And I'm gonna leave it right there. So with that, I'm gonna close it down. I just want to get on here and share a few things. Hopefully, it ain't all about calling out these folks, but a lot of this stuff, man, a lot of people don't really understand. There's a lot more going on than just these politics and these folks lying about this, lying. There's other shit going on, and it's slowly uh rearing its head. What's in the dark will always come to the light, as I always say. So with that, I hope that each and every person continue to have a blessed day. May anything that I said, because I'm learning as I go as well, man. But I'm rooted in and stand on what in the truth that I have. Everybody's truth is different. Respect each one, hope the best, and pray that everybody will be able to once again understand it for what it is and live free. And that has to come with truth and disclosure, man. So with that, hey, I just like to say peace. I'll check y'all out later. Much love.